Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to day number 2 of our third custom mail-in tournament. Our first group contains Lone Wolf, Leo, Essakan, and Arlo. Arlo is definitely a familiar racer, as are some of the other racers. Let's see how each of them perform. As we start the race, the one that gets the edge currently is Arlo, while Lone Wolf is the one that starts falling behind a little bit. But Essakan is having none of Arlo's lead as they look to pass them around that turn, and they do so. And now it is Arlo trying to catch back up. Meanwhile, Leo is trying to make something happen, but they're a little bit far behind at this point. Now Essakan going into the final turn, heading into the straightaway, does currently have the lead. Arlo's trying to catch up, but he spins out. Then Essakan spins out and blocks Arlo from passing him. So Essakan will get the first win. An absolute nail-biter because Arlo was coming up fast, but Essakan denied that victory from them. Meanwhile, Leo finishes in third and Lone Wolf in fourth. Let's see if they can do any better in race number 2. Currently, it was Leo for a second who had the edge, but he slows down a little bit, allowing Essakan and Arlo to pass him again. And now they are on opposite sides of the track as they approach another merger of sorts, and it is Arlo who currently has the lead. Can they hold on to it though? Because so far they've been kind of going back and forth with Essakan, and it looks like they're relatively even right now. But as we get into the straightaway, Essakan is looking to come up behind him, and he passes Arlo for another victory. And that, I believe, is our new fastest time of 15.35. Up until this point, it was held by Giorgio, who I believe had a time of 15.63, but now the speed record is 15.35, held by Essakan. 2 races left. Essakan just needs another victory. And as we begin race 3, it is Arlo who gets a slight lead, about a half car's length ahead of Essa, but now they share the lanes, in a sense anyway, but Essakan now has that lead again. But going around that turn, Arlo made him neck and neck. But they had a slight wider turn at the start, and now it looks like Arlo is actually able to pass Essakan. He's trying to deny Essakan a sweep. It looks like he'll do it. Yes, he will. Not quite the fastest time, but he has denied Essakan a sweep and a chance of staying undefeated. Currently, we've had 2 people who have successfully gotten sweeps. That being Giorgio from day 1, as well as AutoZone. No one has been undefeated yet, but at least a couple people have already gotten sweeps. And now 1 race left with this group. It's looking pretty good for Essakan and Arlo, as they have always finished in first and second respectively. But now look at this, Leo is actually keeping up with them this time around. He is trailing a little bit as Essakan starts to pull away, but they are a bit closer than they were before. But now, Essakan and Arlo are yet again neck and neck. And as they go into the final turn, Essakan still has that lead, and it looks like while they didn't get a sweep, they did get 3 wins, and they are moving on, and it looks like Arlo will be joining them. Meanwhile, Leo and Lone Wolf finished in third and fourth, respectively. And look at these incredible times, by the way. Didn't necessarily break the speed record multiple times, but now that they have the speed record and they're almost staying consistent with it, they are a sight to behold. But now we have the first 2 for today's finals, and 2 more out of this group will be there as well. Rank Hank, Little Fokker, Bolo Brown, and Shababy. Let's see if anybody gets the edge at the start of the race. And it looks like that will be going to Bolo Brown, but Little Fokker is not too far behind, as well as Shababy not too far behind Little Fokker. Rank Hank, however, is struggling a little bit, but Bolo Brown is taking off, and they do have a decent-sized lead, but then they topple over, and they are out of the race already. And now it's between Little Fokker and Shababy. Right now, Shababy has a slight edge, over Little Fokker, and now they go into the final stretch and get the first win. It was looking pretty good for Bolo Brown, but I guess they just could not keep control after going around that turn up there. This is not the first DNF we've seen, but it's definitely one of the earliest so far. This could be a break that Little Fokker and Shababy needed, as well as possibly Rank Hank, depending on how they do in the next 3 races. For the second lap, Bolo Brown does have that edge again. Little Fokker seems to be trying to stay upright, but they're shaking quite a bit, actually. That could be because of the track, but I'm not entirely sure. But for now, Bolo Brown has a lead. Can they stay upright going around that turn? They almost didn't, but they managed to do it this time. But they have multiple more turns to go, and so far they're handling it well. Not only that, but they have a huge lead over everybody else, and they're going towards the finish line perfectly straight, and they get the win. Finishing a little bit slower than Esakan was at 16.32. But hey, any chance to move on allows you more opportunities to improve. But with a victory like that, that is exactly what Bolo Brown needed. Otherwise, they could have been in trouble if they couldn't pick up a win. Meanwhile, Rank Hank is struggling just a little bit. In fact, look at that right out the gate. Rank Hank is falling behind quickly, while Bolo Brown is pulling away, and Little Fokker and Shababy seem to be relatively even. But Bolo Brown is looking again to try and stay upright. It looks like they actually, each time they go around that specific turn, they start to go almost sideways, but they manage to rebalance themselves and stay on their feet. They certainly don't want a repeat of that first race, and so far they haven't, and they get another win. So now they're in a much better position than they were before. Meanwhile, Shababy finishes in second, Little Fokker in third, and Rank Hank in fourth. And it's looking a lot better for Bolo Brown. In fact, I think he actually now has the lead for points. If not, it is awfully close. And now we have one race left with this group before today's final. And Bolo Brown easily gets that edge. In fact, they're constantly getting a bigger and bigger gap between them and Shababy and Little Fokker. Now, can they stay upright? Look at they almost seem to be shaking a bit as they go around that turn. It may be because of the weight distribution, but as they go around each of those curves, they tilt a concerning amount. But they haven't done it since the first race where they fall over, and they managed to get 3 wins. So despite that DNF at the beginning, they are already moving on. So that DNF doesn't even matter now. And now as we look at the points one more time, it looks like it'll be Shababy joining Bolo Brown in the finals. But they will have to kick it up a notch going up against Esakan and Arlo. Let's take a look at the points one more time. And it is Shababy who will be joining Bolo Brown. And here is our final group for today. Esakan and Arlo seem to be the speedier of the groups. Let's see if that keeps consistent in this final grouping. So far it is actually Bolo Brown who has a lead, but now Arlo is getting just enough of a speed boost to pass him. And Esakan is doing just about the same. So now Bolo Brown has quickly gone from first to third. In fact, Bolo Brown almost went on his side again. That got dangerously close, and that caused them to lose some momentum, allowing a bigger lead for Arlo and Esakan. And it is Esakan who gets the win, finishing with a new fast time of 15.26. A phenomenal performance by Esakan. They are breaking speed records left and right now, even their own. While Bolo Brown, having a promising start, was trailing behind by the end, they definitely want to pick up the pace and not risk falling over. But now as this race goes on, it is Bolo Brown who once again starts out well, but by the time they get around that turn, Esakan and Arlo have passed him once more, and Bolo Brown seems to be having trouble maintaining the speed that they have at the beginning, which is absolutely dangerous. But in the final stretch, Esakan got a slight edge over Arlo, who's looking to pass him. I'm not sure. It is really close to call. Not quite the speed record, but that is a close race. I believe Esakan had just enough of lead in front of him that he was able to keep the win, and they're giving it to him. Or her. But you can't get much closer than that, that's for sure. But now there are 2 races left. It's looking really good for Esakan already, and definitely favorable for Arlo. And look at this, Shababy's falling behind. Bolo Brown is keeping up currently, but usually by this time they are starting to fall behind. And that seems to be the case here, though not by nearly as much as before. If they can stay on their feet, they might be able to make something happen here. But for now, Esakan and Arlo are not making it easy. And Esakan gets a 3rd consecutive win. And they almost break the speed record again. They were off by just 1/100th of a second to tie it. But Esakan is in a very similar position to Giorgio, who was denied a sweep in the first group that appeared in, but when they got to the finals, they were at least able to get a sweep there. This could be the 3rd racer to do so, to get a sweep, I mean. And Esakan already is in front of Bolo, while Arlo was struggling a little bit, but going around that turn, they are able to maintain their speed a little bit. And now they are in another position where they're trying to fight for first with Esakan. But Esakan already has a good lead. Will Arlo be able to close that gap? They definitely did, but as they got into the lane merger, he tried to knock Esakan out of the way and failed, causing him to lose some momentum, and Esakan gets a sweep. That being said, Esakan and Arlo will be the ones moving on to the grand finals. Valiant effort by Bolo Brown and Shababy. Better luck next time, as they say. But with that, we have 4 people ready for the grand finals, and we still have quite a few spots to fill. Thank you all so much for watching. See you for day number 3.